Marking, tackling, intercepting, positioning and defending the goal are fundamental elements in the preparation of a player in the modern game. Mirko Mazzantini and Simone Bombardieri present more than 40 technical exercises and game situations for the physical and mental development of young soccer players. The exercises focus on the defensive phase, with the primary objective to develop the tactical abilities of the defenders, who are more and more scarce in the modern game. The exercises are based on the training methodology used at Empoli FC for the development of under 12 to under 15 players. In the last 3 years, this methodology has been presented by the authors to Canadian and American soccer schools, whose instructors have accepted them and introduced them into their daily program. The work on the individual tactical abilities is divided into 2 sections. The first part includes 26 exercises, focusing on the improvement of the fundamentals of individual tactical abilities when not in possession of the ball. The second part includes 16 exercises with variations, with the objective to develop coordination abilities closely associated with the fundamentals developed in the first section. The individual tactical fundamentals considered in the first part are marking and positioning, defending the goal, tackling, anticipation and intercepting. The coordination abilities included in the second part are balance, differentiation and rhythmization skills, motor reaction, motor combination. In part 1, we introduce the individual tactical fundamentals, and in the second part, we work on their consolidation using 1 versus 1 exercises, introducing new stimulus that work also on the coordination and motor elements. The concept of marking can be defined as the individual tactical ability consists of limiting the opponent's freedom and limiting the space most convenient to him in his offensive play. Positioning can be defined as the individual tactical ability that consists of delaying the play of the opponent by positioning correctly between the goal and the opponent. The defender makes a pass to the attacker and then runs towards him, closing down the space and challenge him as far as possible from the goal. As the defender approaches the attacker, he must slow down and get as close as 1.5 meters in order to take away space and avoid a shot or a pass, and to avoid being overtaken with a feint or by dribbling. The correct position is sideways with one foot in front of the other to avoid a flat-footed position and forcing the attacker on his weaker foot. When the attacker moves forward, the defender must slide back at the same speed as the attacker with the intention to delay his play.
Attacca forte! E pareggia.
Grazie.
Buono, bravo Paul. Buono.
Milito come un treno, eccolo servito, si abbatte di fronte a lui. Milito va ancora 1 contro 1, sempre Pandev che si fa vedere. Milito, palla c'è, palla non c'è ancora, Milito che rientra poi dentro per Pandev.
Normale, no, lasciamo fare.
The defender makes a pass to the attacker from a lateral position. From this new angle of approach, the defender must follow the same principles of closing down, slowing down and sliding back. The danger zone is defined with 2 red cones, and this must be protected by the defender. The lateral line is used as support and is referenced by the defender in his attempt to apply pressure and direct the opponent towards it. The objective is to show the opponent player from the central to the lateral zone.
Bravo Pippo. Sì, bravo.
Senza farlo della telecamera.
Bravo Matte, bravo.
Prego.
Manda all'esterno. Bravo,
Bravo,
questo è venuto perfetto.
Sale Antonini, Maicon lo prende in velocità, accelera Maicon, raddoppio di Ambrosini, saltati tutti e due, va via Maicon.
The attacker dribbles forward inside a square. One defender is placed on each corner and is assigned a number. The attacker will be challenged suddenly from a defender after the coach calls his number. This will recreate different marking situations. The objective is to create game situations similar to the one occurring in a match and to increase the focus and concentration level of the defenders.
Ora ti faccio fare 4! Fai gol, calcia forte! Eccoci, infatti ora è più vicino a domenica. 2! Sono sempre 2, sbagliavo io. Bravo Silve. Oh, vedi? 3! Cavaliere del lavoro! Via! 1! Cappalo! Quattro! Prendilo Simo! Entra Simo! Calcia.
In this situation, the defender has an advantage over the situation where he is facing a frontal attack. The attacker starts with his back to goal, and the defender must quickly apply pressure to allow the attacker less space and prevent him from turning around. In this case, the defender should get as close as 50 centimeters using his arm to determine the right distance that will prevent the attacker from turning, or to use his body to pivot around the defender.
Quando si gira entra.
The defender will delay the attacker and will try to intervene with a tackle when the attacker attempts to turn. He will use his left foot if the attacker turns on his left, or the right foot if the attacker turns on his right.
Entra. Bravo.
The objective is for the defenders to learn the concept of delaying and tackling.
Via. Sì dove?
Concia, non lo fa girare, eh? Tienilo lì.
Lo tenete.
Non lo tenere. Entra. Bravo Giacomo.
Pirlo 1 contro 1, dentro per Borriello. Borriello si gira, vuole l'area di rigore, fuori il pallone per Ronaldinho con un po' di ritardo. Ha contenuto Maicon, fallo di Borriello, calcio di punizione, vuole il giallo anche per Borriello il pubblico.
The defender applies pressure on the attacker who receives the ball in the air. the defender focuses on the technical gesture of the attacker when receiving the ball. Because this involves a higher level of difficulty, this concentration will allow him to step in when the ball is not controlled by the attacker. The objective is for the defender to learn the concept of delaying and tackling.
Metti il colpo.
Via.
Coccia!
Bravo. Chi da noi? Ali voleva inquadrati. Sì, dopo,
Simone.
tanto sono qui con la tuta. Vai,
Simone.
vai.
Buono. Stop.
Questa non l'ho presa per parlare con te.
Fine.
Cerca Ronaldinho, un po' corto il pallone, Ronaldinho viene fuori dalla marcatura di Maicon. Sempre Ronaldinho con la suola. Maicon lo molla a Zanetti.
The defender is in a situation of 1 versus 1 and can see both the ball and the opponent. As soon as the cross is taken, the defender must always have a physical contact with the opponent, whilst maintaining a constant focus on the ball. The defender must have the sense of orientation to find the attacker every time he loses the contact. The defender can ease off on the marking only after he can read the ball's trajectory and with certainty gain possession of the ball. The objective is to maintain a constant visual of the ball and the opponent's position, to keep a tight marking and to improve at reading the ball's trajectory.
Giacomo, sentilo. Bravo. Posto.
This is a situation with a higher level of difficulty for the defender because the attacker is outside his visual field. The defender must not make the mistake to watch only the ball, but he has to keep searching for the attacker and look for the physical contact that will allow him to focus on the ball. The primary objective is to get the defender used to checking over his shoulder and the area behind him.
Buono.
In this situation, two defenders have to see the ball on their visual field. They must control the opponents who are inside or outside their visual field and have the absolute necessity to find visual contact. The primary objective is to maintain a constant look on the ball, even in a dynamic situation more complex than in the 1 versus 1,
Buono, bravo Giacomo.
and at the same time trying to maintain the contact with the opponent.
Vai, muovetevi. Dopo staccati. Falla ricercare.
The situation involves marking in the penalty box from a lateral free kick. The defender must maintain constant physical contact with the opponent and must concentrate on the ball's trajectory.
Vai
The objectives to achieve are for the defender to get into the habit of maintaining physical contact and to find the opponent immediately after he has tried to get unmarked.
Muovetevi. Vai Caggiuro, mettila. Buono, ora bravi. Via, metti il cross. Ora mi fate vedere una cosa. Arancione blu.
Allora, lo stesso si farà.
In a field of 20 by 20 meters, 4 players with different colours stand in front of the 4 small goals. The coach calls 2 colours. The first colour is the attacker and must score on the goal in front of him. The second colour is the defender and must prevent the attacker to score a goal.
No, va bene, va bene.
Through this situation, the players work on different angles of approach, from the front, from the side, and from a situation of disadvantage, where the defender must chase the attacker.
Dell'area di rigore e l'altro attaccante dovrà calciare in fondo. Va bene?
Deviato Snyder, Dida ha fatto un miracolo, poi arriva Cambiasso, colpisce Pirlo, poi colpisce Cavalli.
In a field of 20 by 20 meters, 4 players with different colours stand in front of the 4 small goals. The coach calls 2 colours, but this time the first colour is the attacker who enters the field with the ball. The second colour is another attacker without the ball who plays with the other attacker. The player standing in front of the first colour called is the defender in a 1 versus 2 situation. The primary objectives are to delay the play and defend the goal whilst outnumbered.
Grazie. Dai di là.
This is the individual tactical ability that consists of protecting the goal, assuming a goal side position by placing one's body between the goal and the ball. A defender starts from the top corner of the penalty box and must defend a goal from an attacker who dribbles the ball outside the box with the condition not to enter the box but to cross the ball. The defender must position himself between the goal and the ball and try to intercept the ball crossed. The primary objectives of this exercise is to stimulate the focus and concentration of the defenders in defending the goal and not to commit any foul.
Va bene, via. Sì, mettiti di fianco Alessio. Via. Fintate ripetutamente. Bravo. Sì, bravo
Bravo
Matti.
Santi. Via.
Via.
A defender starts from the top corner of the penalty box and must defend the goal from an attacker who can dribble inside the box and go through the cones to finish on goal. The primary objectives are to force the attacker to the outside and to be reactive in case he decides to dribble inside the box.
Via. Via. Buono.
Bravo Franci.
Via. Difendi forte, difendi forte. Forte difendi. Sì, buono.
The defender defends the goal from an attacker who dribbles towards the centre, parallel to the line of the penalty box. The defender will try to block the shot, putting his body as a shield. The primary objective for the defender is to get used to using the foot closer to the ball.
Sì, fagliela intercettare. Allungati Mirko col sinistro. Uscire. Bravo, perfetto. Stop. Via.
The attacker dribbles the ball, starting from a cone outside the penalty area and shoots on goal. The defender runs at maximum speed to close the attacker down, using his body to intercept the ball, keeping his eyes always on the ball and the opponent. The objective to achieve is to close down the attacker quickly, picking the right timing using the leg closest to the ball.
Oh.
The attacker starts with the ball and runs towards 3 goals of different colours and shoots in the goal called by the coach.
Blu.
The defender starts slightly later than the attacker and must interpose his body to intercept the shot.
Blu.
A variation to the exercise is to ask the defender to get in a 1 versus 1 from a frontal position without the option to get into contact.
Bravo Gian.
The objective to achieve is to stimulate the reactivity of the defender based on the goal to defend.
Blu. Via.
Vai, finiamo.
Blu.
Bravo.
Via. Scappa all'indietro. Scappa all'indietro. Scappa all'indietro. Blu.
Sorprendiamo i tifosi.
Rovi- Via.
One attacker and a defender dribble through the cones in opposite directions. The attacker is always with the ball. The defender instead can go around the cones with or without the ball at the discretion
Fallo
of the
uscire
coach.
prima quello della guida.
At the end of the cones, the attacker turns and shoots on goal. The defender instead tries to block the shot with his body. The objectives to achieve are to stimulate the reactivity and timing of the defender in getting in front of the attacker and blocking the shot.
E tiro. È questo, bravo.
Centrale per Ronaldinho, dentro ancora per Antonini, grandissima palla di Ronaldinho, Antonini sul movimento di Borriello che arriva in
Ronaldinho lasciando il buco dietro. Zanetti non ha capito questa soluzione, stava stringendo in mezzo al campo.
This is the individual tactical ability to take the ball away from the opponent or to force him to lose control of it.
Via.
Two players challenge for a stationary ball. The player who wins the tackle becomes the attacker and tries to score a goal in the net, but as soon as he loses the ball, he becomes the defender. The coach must encourage an aggressive and determined attitude from the players and suggest different ways to tackle based on the position of the ankle and of the feet.
Fallo segnare, fallo segnare.
The objective is to stimulate strength and determination of the defenders when tackling and to maintain full concentration when transitioning from attacking to defending and vice versa.
Non andate in terra, alzati.
Allora, ovviamente fate una cosa, manteniamo un diritto.
Via. Sì, dai Pippo, l'avevi vinto. Buona, buona, buona. 3 secondi per entrare in campo.
Tiro. Bravo.
Bravo Pippo. Mettila. Via.
An attacker and a defender challenge for the ball passed by the coach from the side of the field. If the attacker wins the tackle, he tries to score in the small net, and if the defender gains possession of the ball, he transitions from defending to attacking and gains space forward. The objective is to stimulate determination of the defenders when tackling and to quickly play after tackling the ball.
Si prende l'altra, si lascia con la suola, vai.
Via.
Va sul di là con la porta.
Contrasto. Buono. Fermala. Ancora.
Dammi un pallone anche
Via.
a me.
Contrasto. Buono.
Vai. Da lì
Bravi.
dovete fare in modo.
Via. Non ti fermare Pippo.
Via.
After two players run with the ball between two cones, they must spring inside a gate to gain possession of a stationary ball. The result is a tackle using the shoulders and the side of the body. The player winning the ball shoots in goal, the other defends. The objective to achieve is to stimulate the players to use their body when tackling the opponent.
Via. Contrasto, fai sì. Più veloce. Dai. Sì, va bene, finisci. Sì. Pronti? Via.
Sarebbe male. A me non dispiacerebbe.
Vai. Sì, va bene.
Poi c'è la scivolata te, Simo.
Sembra di sì. Via. Va bene, buona. Sì.
Che vuol dire? Io butterò la palla.
Two players chase the ball played in by the coach in the lateral zone of the field adjacent to the sideline. The defender uses a slide tackle to win the ball or to kick it away from the opponent. The slide tackle should only be used when the player is certain to win the ball. The objective to achieve is to improve the coordination, timing and the confidence with going down to the ground.
Ecco il duello, non look per Pirlo, posizione regolare. Pirlo prova a rientrare sul sinistro, vuole il cross, rientra ancora Pirlo, la giocata l'ha chiusa
Ronaldinho, arbitro vicino, non ha voluto ammonire questa situazione, la munizione ci stava tutta, anche se siamo all'inizio.
This is the individual tactical ability that consists of good vision of the game, allowing the defender to win the ball before the opponent, and tactical play, where the defender interrupts the pass of the opponent and gains possession of the ball. On the side of the field, an attacker is ready to receive a throw-in with a defender marking him from behind. The defender delays or tries to anticipate the attacker based on the speed of the ball. If he anticipates and wins the ball, he simulates a positive transition, passing the ball forward through a gate to his teammate. If the defender tries not to anticipate, he must adopt a tactic to mark the opponent from behind on the lateral zone and force the attacker towards the outside rather than the inside.
Su,
Bravo già.
bravo già. Buono.
In a mini field with 2 small nets, there are 4 players on each corner with a ball in their hand, and each player has a number from 1 to 4. 2 players play against each other, trying to score a goal by heading or volleying the ball thrown by the player called by the coach. The players must maintain high concentration to anticipate the opponent. A variation is to pass the ball on the ground. The objectives are to stimulate motor ability to anticipate and the quickness of execution, lateral tackling and the play in the air.
Sì, 4. Dai Pippo.
Rimani tutto insieme.
Sta in movimento, sta in movimento, sta in movimento. 1,
Rimani, allora ti può mangiare anche te.
2.
Vai.
Buono, stop, basta. Fai fare gol. Tornare in mezzo, guarda di là, guarda di là. 2. Buono. Vai di là.
A semi-passive forward starts in the centre of the field in front of a cone and the coach passes a ball to him on the ground. The defender is behind the forward and once the ball is moving decides whether to anticipate the ball or to delay the opponent, depending on time, speed and trajectory of the ball. In case the defender decides to anticipate, he dribbles around one of the 2 red cones and then attacks the goal in a 1 versus 1 duel. The objectives to achieve are to read the trajectory of the ball and pick the right time to anticipate the player.
Veloce, veloce. Buono. Pigia di qua. Stop. Vai in 1 contro 1, vai in 1 contro 1.
Sì, soprattutto non a Dublino, ma nei paesi piccoli.
Buono, altri 2.
A semi-passive forward starts in the centre of the field in front of a cone and the coach throws the ball into the air. As soon as the ball is in the air, the defender must decide whether to anticipate the opponent or to delay him based on the trajectory of the ball. In case the defender decides to anticipate, he dribbles around one of the 2 red cones and then attacks the goal in a 1 versus 1 duel.
Sì, è
Drizza,
finita.
via.
Su. Va bene, fine.
Lo fa
fine,
girare,
fine.
perché l'hai fatto?
Usare anche, facciamo anche che
Questo almeno ha messo
Cosa ha
se
sbagliato
poi si
Faraoni?
riesce a mandare la zona.
Adesso io vedrei cosa ha fatto.
Però Fara, portala via, portala via.
Volete provare?
Fa gol.
Sì, facciamo un pochino, mi fate vedere un po' l'anticipo bene.
In a field of 20 by 10 divided by a central neutral zone of 2 by 2, two players pass the ball and move into space to receive the ball without any restrictions on touches of the ball. The player in the central zone tries to intercept the ball when going through his zone. In case the player intercepts the ball, he dribbles towards the end zone. The objective is to stimulate the individual tactical ability of intercepting, the positive transition from non-possession to possession, and the ability to unmark himself or create space.
Il corridoio. Di
Quello
prima,
che chiamo. Va
Un po' via.
allungato un po',
Dai, Matti.
allargalo un po'.
Di prima,
no,
Giacomo.
va allargato di qua.
passaggi di prima.
Dai, allargate il campo.
Via,
Aiuti, raga,
puntalo.
allarga il campo.
Sì. Vai allora, su. Eccola, via. Sì, bravo Simone. O via. Fagli meta. Bravo. Sì.
Corridoio per Ronaldinho, si gira, cerca Borriello, è arrivata la chiusura col tempo giusto di Lucio, Cambiasso ancora dentro, sempre Thiago Silva.
This is the ability to maintain control of the body while in a stationary or dynamic situation, or while jumping in the air.
Via.
Two players start from the opposite corners of a minifield with two small goals. They perform a somersault and sprint to win the ball played by the coach. The player who arrives first on the ball becomes the attacker and attacks the goal. The variations to the exercise can include a cartwheel or a roll before the 1 versus 1 duel. The objectives are to stimulate ability of dynamic balance, the quickness of execution, marking, and the ability to tackle.
Ruota. Via. Stop, riposatevi, via. Ancora, via. Vieni, attacca Simo, fatti saltare. Ancora un altro.
Via. Veloce, 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 veloce.
Two players start from the corner of a minifield, skipping on one foot, first with the right and then with the left.
Su, su.
The coach passes the ball to one of the players, who becomes the attacker and must dribble the ball beyond the end zone, challenged by the other player.
Cambio piede col sinistro.
The players must execute coordinated skips and sprint towards the ball.
Pippo, fa metà
The objective is to stimulate the dynamic balance, the balance in the air, and the quickness of execution.
Mettersi due casacche di colore differente, due gialli. Si lavora sempre uno contro uno, però ci
Falla
sono
finire,
tre
falla
giocatori in
finire
campo.
Mirko. Via bene, via bene. Va bene, stop. Via. È buona. Falla andare, falla andare.
Falla andare, Paul, falla andare!
Bene, lottaci, 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 lottaci. Bravo.
Di qua.
Via. Dai Pippo, veloce, 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 puntalo, puntalo. Dai Paul. Bravo.
Ragazzi,
Via,
inizio a
finiscila.
tornare verso-
Sì, bravo Pippo, bravo. Veloce a posto. Via.
Two players start from the corner of a minifield, skipping inside the rings.
Puntalo, puntalo bene.
The coach passes the ball to one of the players, who becomes the attacker and must dribble the ball beyond the end zone, challenged by the other player.
Ci deve fare la variante
The objectives are to stimulate the dynamic balance,
di spalle.
the balance in the
Cioè,
air,
ora si fa
and the
subito.
quickness of
Praticamente
execution.
Veloce.
Cioè, anzi di guardare lui, guardate il campo.
Sì, bravo Mario. Andiamo Paul, svegliati. È buona. 5. Fagli un numero, su. 4. Veloce, veloce. Sì, bravo. Via. Veloce, 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 veloce. Puntalo, puntalo senza tornare indietro. Andiamo diritti verso la meta. Su. Dai Mirko. Cinque, 4, cerchiamo di chiudere le azioni veloci. Va bene. Via.
Qui c'è due varianti, si fa prima la variante di
puntalo
prima che uno
dritto, senza
parte di
tornare
qui e saltella all'indietro e poi si fa questa che si scorre, va
Bravo
bene?
Pippo, via te, via te. Bravo Pippo. Via. Su bene, puntare diritto, senza tornare indietro. Via. Riportare i miei palloni, raga. Bravo.
The first one is the ability to apply the proper degree of muscle tension based on the required motor action, and it is the base for feints, to measure the force required to weigh the pass and the reception. The second is the ability to give a specific chronological order to a motor act, and it is defined as a passing of time between the different movements. During the game of soccer, this ability is used when we have to increase or lower the pace and time of play.
Dai Simo, dai Simo.
Two players must sprint to the ball thrown by the coach and engage in a 1 versus 1 duel with the objective to dribble through one of the goals in the end zone, called by the coach. The exercise stimulates quick changes of direction. Balls of different dimension and weight can be used to improve the ability of ball control. The objective is to improve the feints and dribbling, the sensitivity of the foot with the ball, and the changes of direction.
Dai Nesi.
Sei proprio un pisano. Esci di sti.
Mirko, sei pronto?
Sì.
Va bene. Su Paul. Puntalo, puntalo e va dentro. Vai, 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 vai Pippo, vai Pippo, vai Pippo. Sì.
Via
Sì,
vivo.
Via, su
E
Mirko,
parte
Mirko,
uno
su
contro
Mirko.
uno. Chiaro? Rovini, è troppo difficile.
Attraversamento. Va bene.
On a minifield with 4 small goals, the defender passes the ball to the opponent standing in front of him. This player must dribble through one of the 3 goals. If the defender wins the ball, he becomes the attacker. The coach can also call the goal where the attacker must score. The coach can stimulate the player's creativity by asking the player to feint and deceive the defender.
Finta.
Allora vi spiego
Vai, vai,
questo.
vai, 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 vai. Su. Sì, bravo. Dai, più vero. Dai Pippo, vai in porta. Su.
Allora,
Bravo. Via. Va bene. Dai. Bravo.
non ho parole, oh. C'è una nebbia, Dio, io l'unica volta, ti giuro io sono di Fucecchio, non ho mai visto la nebbia a queste parti, oggi devo fare... No, no, in fila difensore, uno davanti e uno dietro. Praticamente Silvestri sceglie se andare a destra o a sinistra e io chiamo il colore del difensore.
Siamo ragazzi, vai.
The forward attacks at speed with the defender standing with his legs open. The attacker must nutmeg the defender. As soon as the ball goes through the legs of the defender must turn and challenge the attacker in a 1 versus 1 duel and prevent him scoring a goal in the small net.
Vieni Filippo, vieni qui. Da sotto.
A variation to this exercise is with the defender standing with his back to the attacker. As soon as he sees the ball going through his legs, he sprints to run after the attacker.
Ora, vai. Sì. Vai. Vai. Apri.
The forward attacks at speed while the defender makes regular small jumps, opening and closing his legs.
Vai, stesso ritmo.
The attacker must
Apri,
nutmeg the
prendi
defender,
tempo.
applying the proper force to the ball to get the ball to go through the defender's legs.
Vai.
As soon as the ball goes through the legs of the defender must turn and challenge the attacker in a 1 versus 1 duel and prevent him scoring a goal in the small net. A variation to this exercise is with the defender standing with his back to the attacker. As soon as he sees the ball going through his legs, he sprints to run after the attacker.
La fa vedere. Via.
The defender moves from side to side, making regular small jumps, opening and closing his legs. The forward attacks the defender and must nutmeg him, picking the right time and applying the proper force to the ball to get the ball to go through the defender's legs. A variation to this exercise is with the defender standing with his back to the attacker.
Via. Ma che fa?
two players dribble the ball through the cones in opposite directions and starting from different corners of the field. The player that scores the goal first gets the point. Dribbling through cones separated with different distances helps the player to use a different rhythm of run, and the competition helps stimulate maximum speed and quickness of execution.
Ci siamo. Via. Via.
Ancora.
A key characteristic which involves the capacity to start and execute quickly a movement in connection to any stimulation and to execute it at adequate speed. On a 20 by 20 field, there are 4 small nets and each of them is assigned a colour. The defender passes the ball to the attacker, who is standing on the opposite corner and must dribble through one of the goals called by the coach. A variation to the exercise is when the coach calls 2 colours at the same time, giving the attacker 2 options, or when the coach changes the colour during a 1 versus 1 duel.
Rosso Mirko, rosso. Difendi la rossa, Ludo. Passa di là. Giallo. Veloce, 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 veloce. Lascia andare. Sì. Via. Rosa, rosso. Veloce. Dai Mario, dai Mario. Sì. Via. Rosa. Sì. Va bene.
Di là.
Via.
Si parte, corsa,
Giallo.
salto e 1 contro 1. Poi dopo è con la palla,
Rosso.
1 con la palla,
Bravo
1
Ludo, dai Ludo,
senza
dai Ludo.
guida.
Sì, bravissimi, bravissimi.
Guido, tocco sotto.
Via.
On a 20 by 20 field, there are 4 small nets and each of them is assigned a colour. The attacker throws the ball at the defender's back, who must react as soon as he feels the ball on his back. As soon as the defender turns, the attacker must engage in a 1 versus 1 duel and dribble through a goal called by the coach. If the defender wins the ball, he becomes the attacker. The attacker has a limited time defined by the coach to score a goal.
Va bene. Vai, vai, vai Ludo, vai Ludo, vai Ludo, vai Ludo. Vai Ludo.
Aspetta. Oh, la porta là, se no qui dà noia
Via. Dove vuoi Pippo, eh? 5, 4, fallo passare. 3, 2, bravo. 1, sì, bravo. Rosso Ludo.
Ma guarda che roba.
Rosa Ludo. Dai, 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 puntalo. Sì Mirko, sì, lascialo andare. Vai, 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 vai. Sì, bravo. Stop.
In the centre of a mini field with a small net, two defenders of different colour are standing on a designated space, one in front of the other. The attacker dribbles towards the space occupied by the defenders. The defender, called by the coach, must come out of his area and challenge the attacker. The objectives to achieve are to stimulate the reactivity to audio signals and to improve marking from a lateral side.
Sì, levaci.
Via. Giallo.
Mettili insieme.
Via. Arancione. Ancora buona. Drizza al cinesino.
Io vi do la palla nel mezzo e vi chiamo il
Giallo.
colore della porta da attaccare. Va bene?
Bravo
E andate a
Silve.
far meta. Poi calma. Poi ti regala, una cosa.
In the centre of a mini field with a small net, two defenders
Arancione.
of different colour are standing on a designated space, one in front of the other.
Sì.
The
Via.
coach calls a defender who comes out of his area and closes one of the channels to the attacker. The attacker must dribble in the
Via.
opposite channel and he
Arancione.
is challenged by the other defender.
Vedi?
The objectives are to stimulate the reactivity to audio signals, the capacity to process information, and to improve marking from a lateral side.
Via. Arancione. Gol Cappiano, via. Arancione. Stop.
Puntato Antonini, Maicon viene in mezzo, Ambrosini lo ferma, Maicon si dispera, può ripartire il Milan, sono più quelli del...
The level of this characteristic often defines the champion, and it is the ability to combine various movements of body segments, isolated movements, or single phase of movement.
Via.
A game situation of 1 versus 1 on a small field with two small nets. Two players must skip over a hurdle and run before engaging in a 1 versus 1 duel. The coach passes the ball to one player, who will be the attacker.
E la partenza la facciamo con due nel mezzo.
Via.
Dicevo una cosa.
Esci,
se
esci, esci,
vedete,
esci, difendi
tanto
bene.
poi dipende dalle variabili. Se vedete
Via. Via. Via.
A game situation of 1 versus 1 on a small field with two small nets. The attacker starts by dribbling the ball and jumping over a hurdle. Then he engages in a 1 versus 1 duel against the defender, who has sprinted and skipped over the hurdle from the opposite side. If the defender wins the ball, he becomes the attacker and tries to score and goal. The objectives to achieve are running with the ball and dribbling, and to match the technical gestures to two coordination abilities.
Bravo Giacomo.
siamo belle
Via. Fammi una bella finta. Buono. Via.
Two players execute a series of jumps on the trampoline and at the command of the coach go through a coordination circuit by crawling under the hurdle, dribble the ball and stop it at the end of the circuit. They sprint towards the centre of the field to win the ball, and the first player on the ball is the attacker and tries to score a goal. If the defender wins the ball, he has to dribble the ball beyond the cone. The objectives are running with the ball, dribbling, and to match the technical gestures to two coordination abilities.
Dai Pippo! Pippo! Vai, scappa indietro, mettiti per bene, posizione giusta. Portala via, bravo Di Nardo, buono. Mettila via.
Partite dentro, cioè partiamo, guarda, partite ai lati di là. Blu
Non
e
toccate
arancione.
l'ostacolo. Fermala. Difendi più indietro, vai. Via, saltate bene dritto. Vai. Bene sotto, struscia. Bravo.
Accelera, vuole il destro, Sissoko, poi Giulio Cesar, palla ancora lì, Claudio! Perché lì sulla respinta del portiere, eccola qua, magari tiri, invece guarda, sul plus, doppio dribbling, tocco sotto, golasso di Marchisio.
Sì, perché qui ha fatto finta di calciare, poi rientra 1-2, col piede destro recupera subito il pallone e poi davanti al portiere riesce ad alzarli a fare il cucchiaio. Questo è un gol straordinario. Nel momento di il vento stava soffrendo, trova il gol del 2-1.
Veramente un golasso di Marchisio, bellissimo. Guardate il tocco sotto, splendido gol di Marchisio. Quanto è importante per la Juve al rientro. Si vedeva che era al rientro, nel senso che non è al massimo della condizione Marchisio,